have been thinking about the so-called Christian marriages, and before you throw stones, I have been privileged to read the entire Bible. And the truth is, the marriage that we call Christian marriage, I mean the one where we have white gowns, black suits, big cakes, a lot of food, marriage ring, things like the oaths, taking the oaths.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do.
And do you take this woman to be your wife? I do. You may kiss the bride.
Of course, kissing the bride. I read the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and you don't see such a marriage. So actually, starting with the Old Testament, what we find is what we call a Jewish marriage, and a Jewish marriage is different from a Christian marriage. So a Jewish marriage actually used to take a whole week. So I might have to explain how a Jewish marriage takes place. So a Jewish marriage starts with what is called betrothment. That is why when you read in the Gospels, because when you read about Mary and Joseph, because Mary and Joseph were Jews, meaning the two of them were betrothed. Joseph and Mary were betrothed, but yet we find that they were not living together. But betrothment was the first step in marriage, in a Jewish marriage. So betrothment is like engagement. So it means that you, for example, if it's the man will find the girl that he wants to marry. And then the man asks the girl if she is willing to be married by him. If the girl says yes, of course, the man will give the girl a gift. And that now that girl in no in these days we can say nowadays we can say the girl has been engaged, but in those days, especially in the Jewish marriage, we say the girl has been betrothed. So betrothment is when a girl has been engaged to a man. That means that now the girl cannot be married by anyone else apart from the man who betrothed her. So after the man has given the girl a gift and promised her that he will marry her, then the man goes back home and starts to build his own house, because you cannot get married in your father's house. That is not how it used to happen. So the man had to build his own house, his own home. And of course, the father of the man would notice that his young man is building. So the father would obviously know that his son has found a girl to marry. So the father would start to prepare the dowry. He would also start to prepare his other men and other people who would attend the marriage. So the father sees that the son is preparing a home. He knows that it is time. He knows that the son has found someone to marry, and very soon they shall have a marriage. After the man has completed preparing the house, it is not the man's decision on when the marriage shall take place. That is the work of the father. The father is the one who shall decide when they are going to go for the marriage. But now here's the twisty part. The girl and her family would not be told the day or the hour. It was a surprise. So the girl had to be ready since the day of betrothment, because she would not know neither the day nor the hour that the bridegroom would come. So one day after of course the son is ready, the father would ambush his son and tell him that today is the day that we are going for the marriage. So the son and the father and other friends of the family would go to the girl's place. But before they arrive in the girl's home, they would, when they are like a few meters away, they would start to blow trumpets. And immediately they start to blow the trumpets, the girl and her family would know that it is about time that the marriage will start. Of course, there was no panicking, because, as I said, that marriage, from that moment, that marriage would take a whole week. so they will not be worried because they have a whole week to prepare for the wedding. It was a banquet, a wedding banquet. A banquet is whereby it's like a party. People would eat and drink and eat and drink, and they would eat all manner of food, and they would drink things like wine and all, mostly wine, because
A joyous feast for a blessed union.
May their days be as sweet as this wine, and may their love grow deeper than this well.
the Jewish people normally take wine. It's like the staple drink for them, and that explains what happened in when Jesus did his first miracle. The Bible says that he converted water into wine in a marriage, and it also says that the wine had finished. What people don't understand is that that wine would be prepared in the first day of the wedding, and it was supposed to run the entire week. But for that specific marriage that Jesus had attended, the wine got finished before the time. That is why Jesus performed the miracle. And if you read carefully, we see the owner of the marriage wondering why the wine is just the way it tasted. Of course, that is a story for another day. But the thing is, the marriage will take a whole week, and the people will enjoy themselves for the whole week. And after the whole week, of course, the bridegroom would go back home with the girl, and they would start their marriage. Now, comparing that to what we have today, we discover that they are totally two different things. Now, coming to the New Testament, we don't find any explanation of how a Christian marriage should be conducted. Remember, Christianity starts after the resurrection of Jesus. We don't see the apostles, even Paul, talking about how the marriage should be conducted. So the way we conduct our marriages in churches, it is not in the Bible. Then you may ask, where did it come from? What we do is what we may call uh, the Europe, what we may call the white marriage or the European marriage. In other words, it is how the white people do their marriages. Understand? And because we Africans, anything that was brought by the white man, including anything that comes from the white man or from Europe, even if it is the Russian man, we love it. And we think it is godly and better than what we had ourselves. Therefore, we embraced how the white people, how our colonizers did their marriages, and because in their marriages they involved a priest who came from the church, we believe that that is how a Christian marriage should be conducted. But of course, that marriage largely it is influenced by the white culture, how the white people conduct their marriage. Only that now they added of course elements of the church, like doing the wedding in the church itself, and the wedding being preceded by a priest who, of course, is a Christian. But that does not mean that that is how necessarily how a Christian marriage should be done. The truth is, there is no specific instructions on how a Christian marriage should be added. So, as Africans, we have the ability to edit how we do it. That is, we don't have to do exactly how the whites do it. We can make it fit our culture. For example, a man told me that in his marriage, they removed that part of kissing the bride, because in African culture, kissing in the public is not good. It's not allowed in the African culture. It is not part of our African culture. So they edited that part. And the truth is, we can edit as much as we want, because there is no restrictions. The thing is, we have the ability to do that. So do not be bound by that. So when you talk about Christian marriage or a church wedding, Christian wedding or church wedding, it is not something that is in the Bible. So we have the ability to edit and do it in the way that is best fit for us, and not necessarily what we were brought by whoever brought what we usually have today.